So tonight we're going to go over this JavaScript class syntax lab.
Okay.
And really, I think just a quick mention that classes in JavaScript are purely syntactic sugar over the prototype adder, I guess is the best word.
Okay.
So, for example, where are we at? Let's say we have this animal class with its constructor, and we have this speak function inside of it, and console log something. If we were going to do that in our prototype, we would do something like this. This is straight from MDN. It's what their example is. And so really, we're taking something that was very I'm losing my word here. Not very simple and easy and straightforward, and making it more straightforward and a little bit easier to understand and see how this is all packed together under this one class, as opposed to creating our function and then having the prototype, adding to the prototype of it with more functions and such. And really, what JavaScript classes are doing is they're taking care of this plumbing for us in just a nicer, more straightforward way.
Okay.
Cool. So just want to throw it out there. If you ever end up talking to or speaking with somebody who deals in a language that is truly class-based, like a Java or something like that, they might tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. JavaScript doesn't have classes, and in actuality, it really doesn't. But it has this concept of classes, which is over top the prototype to make things simpler and easier to understand and to work with easier.
Can I use this like Ruby, same like structures in the actual when I write something?
So it isn't like classes in Ruby, and that's because Ruby is a true object-oriented language, and JavaScript is a prototypical-based language. So it has a different core of how things work.
Okay.
So I think JavaScript is trying, the people whoever they are who make these decisions, are trying to do some things with JavaScript to make it more similar in usage, but underneath the hood, it's not going to be the same.
Okay.
So tonight we're looking at this class syntax lab, and we have a couple tests that aren't passing right now. Board members and CEO class, and let's get this README open. Yeah. So our objectives are to refactor code to use class syntax, practice inheritance using the extends keyword. Let me see something. Okay. With our new knowledge of prototypes, we would like to refactor our previously written code to declare each function only one time. That's what I was missing. I was like, what are we refactoring? There's no code here, but the previous lab.
Okay.
So let me go grab that real quick. All right. Prototypes. Cool. Let's see. All right, there we go. Cool. All right. So Here's the code, or code from the last lab. I think I'm missing one curly brace in here, maybe.
There's a F missing on the top too.
No, it's just a spacing thing. We're not missing a brace. There. There we go. All nice looking now. Okay. So now we have code to actually reformat, or sorry, refactor.
Yeah.
Let's back to our README. Okay. So in index.js, build an ES 2013 board member class with the following properties set by the constructor: name, home site, and training. So let's start with that. We'll leave this here and just throw it down below for now. But so we're working with our class syntax. We start with the word class, and we have board member for the name of our class. And we make board member capitalized, camel case with a capital to start. And then we have our constructor. And our constructor, we can think of it similar to the initializer in a Ruby object.
Yeah.
And so we're going to need, what are we going to need in here? Three things: the name, home state, and training. So we'll have three arguments for our constructor: name, home state, and training. And we're going to set these equal to themselves. So we're saying this class's name is going to be the name, and this class's home state is going to be its home state. And this class's training is going to be training. And this is coming from our constructor. So like when we say board member.new, and we pass in a name, a home state, and let's say training. So we're saying that, you know, this name, being the name of the object that we're creating with this class, is going to be equal to the name that's getting passed in. Cool. Okay. Nothing going on with our tests yet. Add the following methods to the prototype using the class syntax. So instead of doing our board member.prototype dot whatever method or function we want to add and then writing the function, we're going to do it inside of our class. So let's see, what do we have? Veto, approve, do charity, release press statement, and say hi. So let's start with veto. Returns no, I must disagree. So we have veto. And that is going to return the string no, I must disagree. Is there an oh, no exclamation point. We're going to follow the same pattern. Let's see. Returns, returns, returns for these next four, because they're just all returning strings, which is pretty straightforward. So approve, return. And we have to explicitly return in our JavaScript. And then do charity. Yes. Return, I like to help people. Oops. And then I'm gonna close that down for now. Release press statement. And return, you will see great things from Scuba. I don't know who Scuba is. If you do, please fill me in. I feel like I should. And okay. Say hi. Returns hi, my name is Nate. I am from home state and I was trained in training. So I'm going to copy this part. And then let's do say hi. Returns. Let's see. Oh. Okay, my backticks are there. I'm not going to need the quotes. We'll say hi, my name is. Now we're going to do some string interpolation. And we'll get these set up for all of these. So, hi, my name is, and since we want to call this, or we want to get the property of the object that we've created from this class, we're going to say this.name. And then we'll do the same with this.homestate and this.training for these. Okay, still the same. Let's go back to our README now. Okay. In index.js again, these are distracting. Build an ES 2015 CEO class. ES 2015, also known as ES6. Don't know why the number and the year don't line up, but with the following properties. So we need to build another class, CEO, with name, training, and home state. Okay? So very similar to this. I'm just actually going to take this and change it to CEO. Okay. Use inheritance to accomplish this. Okay. So we don't want to do it this way. So I want to get rid of the constructor. And to use inheritance, we do extends. And we extend whatever class it is that we want to inherit from. So now CEO is going to have access to all these things, including the constructor. And let me comment this out. Okay, that's what was throwing it off. It was seeing all those prototypes before. I was wondering what was up with the tests. Cool. It's working. Okay. All the methods that a board member has. So we have that now. Add a new method giving the CEO the ability to hire new employees. Adds a method hire employee. So we need hire employee. Oh. This functionality should not be available to a board member. So the CEO would have one new method. Hire employee returns welcome aboard. So return welcome aboard. So we see the difference in these two. One, we have all of our methods contained inside of our class, and we call them by calling the object and the method. And the other way, we create that function, and then we add to its prototype. Now, this class and the object created from it will still have those things added to their prototype because JavaScript is a prototypical based language. It's just plumbed a lot nicer for us. And I think all the tests are passing. Let's see. Yes.
Well, what's the? It's very clear, so that I'm good. It's when do you use this? Is it something very like when you use JavaScript? Is it similar to making like a backend, or is it where do you use this?
So this is being adapted by a lot of libraries. So React specifically, I know, uses classes for almost everything.
Okay.
So React has really pushed this pattern very strongly in its usage. So this is one of the main places that it's being used is in libraries to define things and use them. And it would just be wherever you're really working with objects and need to add methods to them. People, I don't think this as much in the past.
Yep. Because
of all of the kind of ceremony that you had to go through to get it done. So it was more just, you know, kind of, you typically just weren't adding things to the prototype because it was hard to keep track of. It was hard to see what those methods are, what those functions are and such. And it looked kind of, you know, it was all disjointed. Whereas now they're all contained within the class. Also, a problem is, no, it's not a problem with this. I was thinking something, but no. And people are really thinking about these class constructors more like classes in other languages and just the way that they're designed. Whereas I heard the analogy, it was in the curriculum. I don't know, can't remember where exactly it was. Well, it's definitely not in my code editor. I'm sure I can find it really quickly for the differences. Search. Okay, found it. So this was, I can't remember where exactly, but
that's okay.
Somewhere in the JavaScript curriculum, because it's talking about the difference between JavaScript and Ruby. And it said there are two primary types of object-oriented languages, class-based and prototype-based. So class-based being something like Ruby and prototype-based being something like JavaScript. In a class-based OO language, such as Ruby, Java, C#, and C++, we must first design the class or blueprint of an object and then create objects from that blueprint in order to use them. So we have, you know, here, if this was Ruby and it's a class, we have our blueprint of our object. And then we create that first, and then we create objects from it and use them. So imagine a set of instructions from IKEA as the class and your assembled bookcase as the object. JavaScript uses prototypical object orientation. And this is still happening. It's just we're using different words to get here, and JavaScript is interpreting it and doing it for us through this class syntax. And that's why it's called class syntax. It's just a way of writing these prototypes now. Instead of creating a non-functional class definition, we actually create the object, which is then used as a prototype to create other objects. So in the real world example, I mean, I guess code is in the real world, but like a more tangible example, this would be like taking a bunch of laminated wood and assembling a bookcase, and then using that as your guide or prototype for creating other bookcases and other bookcase-like objects. So it's really wherever we'd want to, it's really when we're dealing with objects in JavaScript, and when you really get into object-oriented JavaScript. So the same time that, classes really came into use in Ruby was when we started doing object-oriented. So the same time, I think a lot of times we're not thinking as much about dealing with objects in JavaScript just because of where it runs and where it lives. Most of the JavaScript that we're going to write is on the front end. So we're not working with objects in such a deep level as we might be in the back end, but just the same, JavaScript can run on the back end, and it does in many places. Node enabled that. So it's really just whenever we're dealing with objects in JavaScript, and we still have all this prototyping going on. It's just being handled for us in a nice, cleaner way that it makes more logical sense to us humans, but it's still being transformed down to these prototypes, and that's how we're really getting them on there.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions?
For now, I'm good actually. Yeah. It's not that complicated, like just writing this actually. So the concept is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the more confusing parts about it is that JavaScript doesn't have classes, but we have this class syntax, which makes us feel like it does. And then when we start trying to think about JavaScript like we think about a pure object-oriented language, it can get us into some trouble because it isn't actually. So it's going to do some similar things, but it isn't truly like that. So there's some different behaviors that can happen because of that. But yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.